Joining us for Eye on New Mexico, I'm Spencer Schott. Last weekend, parts of the University of New Mexico campus were covered in police tape after a UNM student was shot and killed and an NMSU student athlete was taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds. The crime scene was near multiple UNM dorms, just north of Johnson Field. The northeast portion of campus was closed off for most of Saturday, and at the time, state police said all they knew was a 19-year-old UNM student, later identified as Brandon Travis, was shot and killed early Saturday morning. And an NMSU student athlete, 21-year-old Michael Peak, was shot and was being treated at a local hospital. Students on campus were also curious as to what happened, some even hearing the gunshots ring out that morning.
It's not like uncommon to hear, so you kind of just brush it off, but like to see that was kind of crazy. Like I think the biggest thing is just weird, man. Like just like the environment at the school, like you look around, it's like it's so awkward. No one's saying anything, no one's talking about anything. It's like it's disturbing almost, you know? I can't really say anything.
Now, both the University of New Mexico and New Mexico State University denied to comment on the shooting and their students' involvement that day, saying state police are leading the investigation, and the only information shared by the university Saturday was a joint statement saying, in part, in light of the tragic incident earlier this morning on the University of New Mexico campus, the University of New Mexico and New Mexico State University have jointly decided to postpone this evening's men's basketball contest between the schools. Now, that game was, of course, later canceled. But the next day, as we work to piece together what led to this deadly shooting, our Ryan Laughlin spoke to a UNM freshman who says he rushed to the scene outside his dorm and tried to save Travis.
The only basketball game at UNM this weekend was of the pickup variety. Blood stains the sidewalk just across the street from the courts north of Johnson Field. Police only saying that it was an altercation that led to a deadly shooting right here on UNM's campus. Here we have found evidence markers, what appear to be from gunshots on the backside of Coronado Hall, one of the dorms on campus. What else is here? Blood staining the parking lot and the pavement here. And one man who lives very close by says he heard those gunshots from his dorm room when he rushed out and tried to save a life.
When I looked out the window and I saw him there, and I just felt like maybe I had a chance to help him.
Dylan Farrell says he woke up to about 15 shots at 3 Saturday morning.
I called the police, got out of my room, my dorm, got a med kit with one of my friends. We went out there.
As a trained lifeguard, Farrell wanted to help.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that, but I thought that maybe I would have. I wish I could have, but.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's kind of crazy, but I think I'm doing all right.
Now, unconfirmed rumors are swirling.
It seemed like something drug-related. He had a mask on and gloves, and they were both carrying, which is illegal on campus.
Farrell says he found the dead 19-year-old with a handgun, and police tended to a New Mexico State student athlete who had been shot around the corner.
My parents were, when I told them, my parents were pretty worried. They wanted me to come home right away. And it just sucks that you have to worry about that kind of stuff when you're just trying to go to college.
More questions than answers, and more concerns on campus. What'd you tell your parents after they said they wanted you to come home?
I told them that I know that, this violence, like it can be scary, but I still enjoy going here, and I don't want to have to transfer schools. So I hope that we can figure out a way to stop having violence like this on campus.
Ryan Laughlin, KOB4.
Sunday, state police filled in some of the blanks about what led to this deadly shooting. Police say Travis and 2 other men and a 17-year-old girl, all UNM students, conspired to lure a New Mexico State student athlete to campus early Saturday morning to assault him. There was some sort of altercation, and police say Travis shot at the Aggie athlete, who then shot and killed Travis. As for the other UNM students who were involved, the 17-year-old girl is facing aggravated battery and conspiracy charges, and she's in the Bernalillo County Juvenile Detention Center. Then on Monday, we learned this confrontation was a long time coming. Police say a fight at the Lobo Aggie football game in Las Cruces just weeks ago sparked the deadly shooting. Ryan Laughlin was able to look through the arresting documents from both of the courts and the investigators as they worked to learn what motivated the shooting.
This is one of the suspects, 19-year-old Jonathan Smith, another student wrapped up in Saturday's deadly shooting at UNM. Many on campus still shocked.
I had heard the gunshots. I looked out my window and I could see Brandon lying there.
UNM student Dylan Farrell was inside his dorm when the shooting happened. He says his friend recognized 19-year-old Brandon Travis as the student who was shot and killed. Farrell thought he could help.
He had a Glock 9mm on him when we found him, and he was shot, so I didn't see any other weapons, but I assume that there's a few other people with weapons.
The details in this arrest warrant affidavit confirm that. According to state police investigators, Jonathan Smith conspired with Brandon Travis and at least 2 other students to lure New Mexico State basketball star Michael Peak onto the UNM campus. One of the suspects, a 17-year-old student, told investigators Brandon wanted to jump Michael because Michael and his friends had beat him up badly at a recent UNM-NMSU football game in Las Cruces. Videos posted on social media show some of the fighting that broke out that day. Investigators say those involved in Saturday's shooting wanted to get revenge on Michael Peak for his alleged involvement. According to the arrest warrant affidavit, after a 17-year-old female student lured Michael Peak to campus, Brandon Travis pointed a gun at Michael's face, and another student hit Michael in the leg with a baseball bat. Michael took off running and eventually pulled out a gun and shot toward Brandon, killing him. Michael Peak is recovering from his injuries, including a gunshot wound to the leg. Jonathan Smith is charged with aggravated battery, conspiracy, and tampering with evidence, and at the same time, innocent students are stuck with the reality of what just happened.
When I told them, my parents were pretty worried. They wanted me to come home right away. And it just sucks that you have to worry about that kind of stuff when you're just trying to go to college.
Now, the state filed to keep Smith locked up, and he will have pretrial detention hearing likely sometime next week. Police say one of the 4 UNM students who lured Peak to campus Saturday morning to attack him was a 17-year-old girl who he met online. She faced a judge on Tuesday. The court did not show her face because she is a juvenile, and investigators say she had been talking to Peak online and told her 3 male classmates who wanted to get revenge after Peak reportedly beat them up at one of the Lobo Aggie football games weeks ago. Police say Peak took an Uber to meet the girl on campus, and the 3 young men jumped in. One of them allegedly hit him in the leg with a baseball bat before 19-year-old Brandon Travis shot at Peak, who then fired back, killing Travis. Peak was also shot in the leg, and prosecutors wanted the 17-year-old girl to be held before trial. Here is what the judge decided.
I'm going to hold the child but authorize CCP. If the child is on CCP, she's going to have to comply with those requirements.
Basically, that means if the juvenile custody officials determine she can be supervised, she'll be released, but she'll have a lot of requirements. Later on through the week, we heard from both schools directly and how the shooting will impact games going forward. We have those details coming up after the break. Welcome back to Eye on New Mexico. After last weekend's deadly shooting, the University of New Mexico's campuses, both UNM and NMSU, made the decision to cancel future men's basketball games. So this season, there will be no Rio Grande rivalry. KOB was at the pit when that decision was announced, and UNM athletic director Eddie Nunez explains who was involved in making that call.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I do want to start off by saying that our thoughts are with those that were affected during this tragic incident that occurred this past weekend. With that, I also do want to say thank you to everybody in this room, and for your patience and understanding that it wasn't the time for us to discuss what we were going to do with the game, and for being patient for us to get to this point right now. There were other factors that needed to be discussed before we got to where we are today. So as we get going, I do want to kind of let everyone know coming to this decision today wasn't just myself. It was meeting with President Stokes, our university administration, UNM PD, of course, NMSU, our coaches, everyone that I can possibly sit down with and have good dialogue to make sure that we make the right decision for UNM, for NMSU, for the future of this rivalry. And again, we want to have a healthy competition with NMSU. That is something we strive for. I know they strive for the same. So for us, as we go forward with this decision, my number one importance will always be our student athletes and their safety, and our coaches and everybody else that's involved in our events. So with that being said, and I think most of you already know where we're going with this, we've decided to not move forward with the game on December 3rd. And we've also decided that we are going to cancel the game that was previously scheduled for this past week. The decision from our part, as much as, we'd love to see our men's basketball teams competing, the Lobos and Aggies, we felt at this time there needed to be a pause. This event just recently occurred. There's still a lot of anxiety and concerns in the community, and we want to make sure that those take precedent over this event. With that, as I continue to put some consideration into this, some of the things that we discussed was the unrest, the situations that surrounded that. Also took into consideration past experiences, what we've experienced over the last several years. We need to understand what has happened, what has gotten us to this position in regards to the game itself. And I want to make sure that we can continue to provide a safe environment for our fans, for our student athletes, for our coaches. And those previous events that have occurred, we can do better. I truly believe, and I believe that New Mexico State feels the same way. In communicating again also with New Mexico State Athletic Director Mario Mocha, he also supported the concern about playing the game down at NMSU and being able to provide the necessary support for our student athletes, coaches, and fans. So in going through all this, it was making sure that can we do it right, but also is the time right. There's still too many things going on right now, and I want to make sure that we put everything in consideration.
Now, as Nunez mentioned, student-athlete safety is his #1 priority. And at this point, considering the current investigation and past confrontations he has seen at the Rio Grande rivalry events, he, among other UNM officials and their NMSU counterparts, do not feel comfortable moving forward with any more Lobo-Aggie men's basketball games. The Rio Grande rivalry is arguably the biggest head-to-head contest in New Mexico.
We want to have a healthy competition with NMSU. That is something we strive for. I know they strive for the same. So for us, as we go forward with this decision, my #1 importance will always be our student athletes and their safety.
But that safety is being questioned after police say 4 UNM students lured a New Mexico State basketball player, Michael Peak, to campus Saturday morning to attack him. There was a shootout, and Peak reportedly shot and killed 19-year-old UNM freshman Brandon Travis. In the aftermath, NMSU officials announced that they will start checking athletes' bags for all away games since Peak was allegedly armed. However, Nunez doesn't believe that is necessary here at UNM.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that none of our student athletes have weapons. I don't know that for certain. But they understand what my expectations are and what our coaches' expectations are about having anything that would be considered a concern.
Nunez says he's also concerned safety standards at both schools are comparable, both on and off the court and the field.
This is a bigger question. This is us sitting down together at the table, NMSU and UNM, and making sure that we think this is it's going to be the same response at their venue as it is at ours.
Especially after what has been a violent year between our Lobos and Aggies, namely brawling at the rivalry football game in Las Cruces that police say was connected to the deadly shooting at UNM.
There were incidences that had occurred in the stands that were affecting our players. We had things thrown at our players. We had stuff stolen from our benches. there were several incidences that occurred down there that were not to the level that we expected.
Now, this cancellation only affects the men's teams. The women's basketball teams will still face off at the Pit in December, but the game we were supposed to have at the Pit this past Saturday was practically a sellout. And Noonien says UNM is working on refunding any ticket holders to Saturday's game. He's also trying to replace the 2 canceled games with matchups with other teams, but that may be difficult at this point in the season. Now, coming up after the break, we are headed south to Las Cruces to hear from NMSU officials, so stay with us. Welcome back to Eye on New Mexico. This week we are diving into all the details we have learned after the deadly shooting on the UNM campus last weekend. Now, on Wednesday, we heard from NMSU officials for the first time. Here's what the NMSU athletics director, Mario Mocha, had to say.
But when I received the phone call about the events very, very early on Saturday morning when I was in Columbia, Missouri for our football game, I was shocked. I was sad to learn of the details and very disappointed. With regard to our men's basketball student athlete, Michael Peak, athletics was aware of an altercation with him and some other individuals at the October 15th football game between New Mexico State and the University of New Mexico. And discipline measures were taken at that time after the event. I spoke to Mike today, and while privacy matters concerning his health and our conversation was private, he did want me to know that our coaches did everything they could. And for him to lead with that speaks volumes with what that man, young man, has in front of him at the moment. Now, certainly a tragic episode of bad judgment can paint the entire program in a negative light in some of the public's eye. However, I'd like to remind everybody of our 3 core values in athletics that we preach all the time: academic integrity, social responsibility, competitive intensity. Our 16 teams and 400 student athletes, that includes men's basketball, have recorded a 3.0 plus GPA for 17 years. That's 34 consecutive semesters. Pre-pandemic, those same 400 student athletes, including men's basketball program, participated in over 6,000 hours of community service annually. And each team is assigned to a charitable organization. And obviously, we've won several conference championships and NCAA tournament appearances. So for the vast majority, they're living up to those 3 core values, all 16 teams, 10 women's teams, 6 men's, and 400 student athletes. So while this incident has cast a negative light on intercollegiate athletics, I'd suggest it's unfair to paint all of our student athletes, our entire student athlete population and department, with that same brush.
Now, during that press conference, we also heard from New Mexico State University's Chancellor, Dan Arvisu, who said while he recognizes this is a tragic event, he doesn't want it to impact how people view the university as a whole. Take a listen.
So let me say, the first thing I want to say is the events of last week are truly tragic. This should never happen anywhere, let alone on a university campus, and let alone between university students. It is extremely unfortunate, disappointing, and frustrating in a lot of different ways, because we try in so many different ways to make sure that our environment for learning is healthy, safe, and sustainable over the long run. What I think, recognizing this and trying to put it into some level of context, those events that happened on Friday night and even some of the things that led up to those events that happened on Friday night, unfortunately, I think expose some of the serious underbelly of the challenges that are facing society just in general. It's not lost on any of us, of all of the events of just the past 10 days in terms of gun violence and social ills and a variety of other things that are plaguing our nation and our society. Again, never should happen on a university campus, and the university environment, and sometimes with rivalries between institutions, exacerbate what otherwise is social anxiety in ways that we just simply have not seen before. And so, in the context of that rivalry, and especially as it has gained a bit more of a confrontational sort of tone to it over the past few seasons. President Stokes and I met. We've talked at great length a number of times since last week, and we are both committed to lowering the temperature and regarding our rivalry part of this other broader context. And in that vein, yesterday we announced that we would suspend play of the 2 rivalry games that we have on an annual basis between the NMSU and UNM, and to give us an opportunity to really reevaluate kind of how these events ought to take place. That will be for men's basketball only. Before I turn it over to Mario and Ann, I also wanted to reassure Aggie Nation that the state of the university is still very positive, very sound. That I gave a State of the University address a couple of weeks ago, and in that address talked about all the great things that are going on, some of the things to look forward to. None of that's changed. We still have great aspirations, still very positive. These tragic events obviously put a damper, put a pall on that positivity. But we still have 21,000 students that are actively working on their education and working hard and doing the things that they're supposed to do. So I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we've got a very robust student population, not just on our main campus, but also in our branch campuses. And they're doing great work. I know we are very proud of our student athletes in so many different ways. So we don't want these kinds of events to cast too negative an umbrella over the entire university's activities, because I think it would be unfair to do that. On the other hand, we are taking these events extremely seriously, and we are looking at everything we can and should be able to do to avoid these kinds of things in the future. And we will be working hard as we learn more things to take the necessary steps required by information that we learn. So I just want to say, in closing with my opening remarks here, our campus is safe. Our processes are being evaluated to avoid these kinds of activities and these kinds of events in the future. And we will take appropriate action on things as information is revealed, where essentially we need to make some corrections, and we will do so. We're committed to do that. So with that, let me just.
Now, after the university leaders were done with their prepared statements, they opened it up to questions, where we learned about a lot of changes NMSU is now making to ensure player safety. They say they'll be checking Aggies players' bags before bus trips, with players' permission, of course. The team tweeted these pictures out on Wednesday afternoon, and they are now on their way to Las Vegas, Nevada to play games starting Friday night. They say it's important to get back to competing and to get back to normalcy, and every player except for Peak is expected to be there. No players are suspended as of now. Now, those decisions would come from head coach Greg Heyer. Officials say he's not under investigation in any way, and they say they've already handed down some disciplinary actions after multiple players violated curfew Friday night. But there was also disciplinary action taken after this fight, though we don't know the details. This brawl included at least Mike Peak and UNM students. This happened in the stands at the rivalry football game back in October. Police say it led to the deadly shooting. And at this time, the school says they can't give any updates on Peak's condition. State police say he is not facing any charges, and the university officials say he's still on the team and he's still a student. Police say he had a gun, and NMSU officials reiterated that no weapons are allowed on any school trips. And so far, that's all we know about this deadly shooting on the University of New Mexico's campus. KOB4 will continue to follow this story as it develops, and we'll bring you updates both on air and online. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next weekend with another Eye on New Mexico.